let me just bring in the idea of Black excellence in that. It's something that we talk about on this podcast quite a bit. It has served us, I think, as Black folks in I would say in some generations. I don't know how much it serves us now. And what I mean by that, it may have different definitions to different people. Just to kind of say what, when we talk about it, what we mean is this idea of always being the best, working 5 times as hard to get half as much. I talk about it in terms of the whole being a credit to your race type of sense of things, making sure you don't give them anything bad to talk about when it comes to making us look bad, all of that stuff. Yeah, that's what we mean. And Jaki, what do you think about that word and that notion, and whether it's something that we need to look at a different way?
Well, I've been looking at it for the past 50 some years. I started writing in my 20s. That's when I had a job, and everything that you just listed have been the checkoffs that I have worked real hard not to check off.
That's why we love you.
Wow.
To be self-defining, to be self-actualizing, to do the work that's in front of me, but not for, there's the notion of doing the work for what it looks like, the performative, so what that Black excellence to me is performative. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
Because there are people that love to check off all those things, and they check them off in a way that affirms them. That's their affirmation. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
They stand up in it, kind of like white people who introduce themselves with the first thing they say is, "Well, I know I'm privileged," and I'm like, "I asked you your name. I didn't."
It's like slow your roll.
TMI.
Right. And it's standing up in it. It's like, what are you doing for yourself? And this whole thing is just so cyclic for me, because in this culture, that's not even put forth to young people coming out of school. What do you want to do for yourself?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, for what brings you joy at the end of the day when you come home from your work?
Yes.
Like, did you work or did it work you? I mean, if you come home every night worked, then
wait a minute, hold on.
You come home every night worked.
Right.
Or worked over,
I've never heard.
Worked on.
Worked on.
Worked under.
The answer is yes. Yes.
It's kind of like my mom.
Oh my gosh.
For some reason, my mom's coming up a lot today. But my mom just died in 2022, Leslie, at the age of 106.
God rest
her soul.
Oh
my.
Yeah, but she was funny. But one day she came home and she had a bee sting up her behind. I was like, "What is wrong with you?" "Dad, Cora makes me sick." I said, "Mom, why are you mad at Miss Cora? Every time I go to the beauty parlor, she be talking about that boy of hers." She said, "He ain't nothing but a font."
What?
She always bragging. She's like, "Well, my son Charles, he's been at IBM over 35 years now. He's still the first only Negro there. I'm so proud of him." And my mother that day said, "Cora, and that boy been there for 35 years, and he's still the first only Negro there. He got a problem." She said, you ought to be ashamed of him, but he's not brought anybody else along.
Tell the truth.
Wow.
So my mom, it ain't nothing but a font. First.
Okay.
So I never wanted to be the font. And when I've been in those positions, we all have been the font.
Yeah, we've all been fonts. Yes, indeed.
But I also, have made inertia at the table, letting folk know it's enough. Pull up another chair. It's enough room for about 5 more chairs.
Absolutely.
Or, hey, there's some space over there. We could bring in another table. So it's how we embrace how we're going to show up in this culture.
Yeah.
And then there's the gatekeeper, because then there are the folk that point at you because they want to be first only Negro there. And surprisingly and sadly, that stuff has come back around in a shameless kind of way of people playing gatekeeper, showing their classism, exercising their classism.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And wanting to perpetuate that whole thing of being the elite Blacks in certain places. Right. And that's the stuff we don't talk about. So we don't talk about class. We talk about racism all day long. We talk about sexism, homophobia, classism. We don't talk about the classism.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm better than them. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. Yeah. Why can't they? Or why won't they? Or them and us. And
and even the petty stuff. And when I became the poet laureate, there were Black people and North Carolina government Black folks that I had never met in my life who didn't know me, but were in his ear like, she's militant, or I'm not sure you really want her. You might not be, she might embarrass you.
She might make you look bad. What?
Oh, yeah. This is coming from Black folk. So us still needing to play foreman, a forewoman. We still need to ride the horse with the whip.
Yes, we're in the uniform so that to
master and let master. I'm a different kind of Negro.
Yes.
And gladly taking on that role, voluntarily often.
Yeah. And it's come back around. It just looks different. Folk disguise differently. But it's the same spirit. It's the same spirit. And we have to get over that.
Yes, we do.
It's kind of like Kamala wants to win, and I pray she wins. She's got to be with all the sisters, not just the ones with some money. Those little $10, $15, $20, $50, they add up too.
Yes, absolutely.
You've got to help that sister who's at the factory with the 4 children, 2 jobs, trying to make it. Got to help her understand that she's part of this movement too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That she's a strong Black woman too, because she don't know she's a strong Black woman.
Right.
So it's who we hold up in front of people all the time, who we laud and who we don't laud. We talk about role models. I used to always, when people would ask me like, well, who are your role models? Well, I've never liked the word role models because people in my life weren't playing roles. They were living real lives.
Oh, wow.
So those people were, not just, and there were many teachers and business people and entrepreneurs, but not just the people who had the means to be a model for me, but they were the women who my elementary school cooked. Like the cafeteria was all the women in the neighborhood, not all the women, but the staff of the cafeteria were women from the neighborhood. So food was jamming, food was good. Food was real good. Those were people I looked to who inspired me. The janitor's wife, who just blew my mind on Sundays because during the week she wore a bandana. She wore overalls and these plaid shirts and a bandana. And on Sunday she'd walk into church and I'd be like,
is that the same with her church hat? Wow.
I mean, she was Dorothy Dandridge,
Wow.
Yeah. And and I was like, dang, I mean, yeah. So all of these people, the men in my neighborhood who slaughtered pigs, in the fall. And at Christmas time, there would be a little knock at the back door. You knew who it was.
Yeah.
It was one of three men, and they all three came through. One would bring you 3 pounds of bacon. One came through with the ham hocks. One came through with a whole side of the.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you had fat back and bacon and sausage. These men fed the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then there were the farmers who fed the neighborhoods.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was looking at one of your pieces online of many, and you spoke about how you grew up in a neighborhood in an area where no one went hungry and no one was homeless.
That's right.
Unhoused, where everyone looked out for their neighbor, love thy neighbor.
Yes. From generation to generation. I remember, I talk about permissions and what we require of ourselves. I mean, I saw those enactments as a child. I remember a very poor lady in our neighborhood. Her husband died. They lived in this house was like really substandard conditions. I'll never forget. My grandmother went to the house. Of course, my mom and her 2 sisters followed her, and then some other women showed up, and she took over. And I was there. I probably was about 7 or 8. And my grandmother told my uncle, go to the hardware store, get some paint, come back here and paint this whole house. So-and-so, y'all paint on the outside. So-and-so, put some steps. Somebody gonna break their neck. Put some steps in the front.
Good steps up there. Wow.
And told my mother, I remember she said, go to the dime store. That's what they call roses then, or those, and get some curtains. Get some curtains, get some rugs in here.
We're gonna fix this place up because
and the lady of the house, she said nothing. And there was a part of me like
stunned. Stunned into silence.
Grandma, you can't be rolling up at people. It wasn't, there was nothing bad. It was, this is what you did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
This is what you did. My father had many, many strokes during my childhood. And there were many times when we would come home, we get off the school bus, and our cousin, who we would call Auntie because she was an older cousin, but Cousin Carrie would meet us, and she'd say, y'all come on across the road with me. Your daddy's back at the hospital. So my grandmother, my aunt, uncle, my mom would be at the hospital. And we would, this was she took care of us.
And Auntie
we had gone to the house, got our pajamas because she didn't know what time they were coming. She fed us, gave us a bath, put us it's what you did.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the personification of love thy neighbor. It really is. And I know we did an episode where we spoke about how, what the evangelists have been saying lately, and how they've embraced one of the candidates, where it didn't look like the teaching of the Bible that we're familiar with. It just didn't look that way. That's, to me, what you describe is what I read in the passages in the Word. Taking care of people, loving up on them, not letting people starve when you can share, and those things. Yeah.
Taking care of people, and sometimes things in the neighborhood that got done and nobody knew where the money came from. Yes. Nobody needed to tell that they paid somebody's lights or they paid somebody's rent. Right. You know what I mean? Or they were the ones who went with so-and-so to get their son out or their husband out of jail. Yes. So it's that spirit that it won't go away inside of me.
Wow.
Is like with women's, there have been instances where women say, well, I just didn't expect for you, like why would you even do something like that for me? I said, well, because that's all I know. I mean, that's what I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know what sisterhood looks like through my mother and my aunts, my grandmother, and my grandmother's peers, those old sisters. When I went away to prep school, I got a full scholarship, but I'll never forget. they came with, they gave me $3 in a little envelope, $5 in an envelope, one,
Sneaking some money.
Right, 7 pair of underwear. She said, always gotta have some clean underwear. And that's what I would get when my grandmother would send me a little care package. Miss So-and-so sent you some more underwear. But and these were women, they're living off of their Social Security.
Yeah. Which isn't
they're not.
They find a way. They find a way.
But they found a way to invest in the next generation. It's a different time, and there are different rules and there are different codes, and people are the requirements are different.
Yeah.
And the permissions are different.
They are, but I'd like to think, much like you said earlier, that type of love. I'm reading this book called The Way to Love, Meditations on Life. And the way that you describe love, I think that's also in our DNA. It's culturally in our DNA. And I think that we have to tap into that and be our authentic selves in that way. I'd like to say and admit that I'm very altruistic and giving to people I see on the street. It just warms my heart to help people if I'm in a position to. And we shouldn't try to put a cover over that part of ourselves and resist the urge to offer underwear to someone who might need underwear. But very often we say, I don't know how they're going to receive it. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know what they're going to say about me. That's not why we give.
Yeah.
That's not why we give.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I teach this. Well, I don't teach it, but I have a speech on literary citizenship. And it was for a group of writers, but it was like, what did I require of myself when I became the poet laureate? What did I require of myself? What standards were I holding myself to as the poet laureate?
Yeah.
And, they're pretty much the same standards by which I live, because in the same setting, we were calling, like now the literary community is very fragmented and it's horrible. A lot of power plays, it's ugly. It's very ugly.
Wow.
But when I was cutting my teeth, and like I was telling some young writer recently, young emerging writer, I said, when I would show up in New York, this was before any social media, Leroy Jones, Amiri Baraka knew I was there. And some random stranger would walk up to me on the street and say, yo, bro Leroy, I said, you better get your little narrow butt over there. Call him. A message would be coming from left and right. You call Leroy?
Wow.
The phone became Amiri Baraka.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he would call me. Hey, little sis, you got any money? Where you staying? Who you up here with? What you doing? Who you rolling with? He called me 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
You got something to eat? You eating? And I was the little sister from, his thing was, he'd tell folk, little sister from North Carolina up here. Y'all got any place? Y'all got anything for her to do while she up here? He would find me a poetry reading.
Wow.
Isn't that something? That's
he would
family.
Make the space.
Yeah.
When I met Sister Sonia Sanchez, when I was pregnant with my son, who is now 51, I was pregnant with him. I audited her class when she was teaching at UMass. We lived in Connecticut. My daughter, Imani, who would be 53 if she were alive, used to sit and bounce on her lap.
Wow.
So I could.
What history.
I could do the class. So I met Audre Lorde, right before she died down in the Virgin Islands. And what she said to me has stayed with me. And the way she held my hand. And she told me, I've come home to die. I've come back here to die. I've come here to die. But the things that she said to me, and those conversations with those writers back then, I was just a little sister down south. And now, the lines are drawn in the sand. it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. The gatekeepers, the folk who get to say who's in, who's out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who's invited, who ain't invited.
Yeah.
Who gets the grant, it's a different time. And my thing has always been rather, I'm not a pushback at.
Yeah.
It's what do you create? What do you create that serves? If this over here is not serving you and you're not wanting to be served by these people, then how do you serve yourself and others like you who are not invited to that table? And what I've been saying is we have enough intellectual property resources. Right now, this is currency.
Yeah.
We have enough currency to build some tables.
Yes, we do.
But, some of us of a certain age, like the tables that you said I can't sit at, that's my table. You don't even know. I drug it in the room before you were born.
Yeah, I put that table there.
Amen.
I put that table there, but it's
Absolutely.
okay. You can have it. Because I got more.
Because we got more tables.
I can make another table.
It's not.
I'm in the table making business.
Yes. And you know what the Lord said about the table, right?
That's right.
Setting the table before your enemies. We can do that.
I have wood. We wood.
I hate to say, as the timekeeper, we got 10 minutes, Ange.
Oh no,
Miss Jackie has a hard stop.
Oh,
so if you want to speak a little bit, and I love that you had a segue into your poetry experience, but I want to talk about your human museum.
Okay, well, let's talk about it.
I need to hear more about that and where that came from.
That is a whole, Jackie, just give us all of the bits about this human museum. It was one of the most fantastic ideas that I have heard of, honestly, and I dabble,
and we're gonna steal it. I'm just saying. So if it's not copyrighted, let's grab onto it.
What did you say, Jackie?
You did the workshop, right?
I didn't. We did a different workshop. We did a sister write.
But you didn't come to the Human Museum workshop.
I did not. I just heard about it, but please, I'd love to share that. Yeah.
I believe that we're all human museums. And that we're all holding our own archaeology, anthropology, all of our stories. The museum is here. Mm-hmm. And even how our homes. I mean, I could say, when we get off, I'd say, okay, I want you to walk through your house and pick up 5 objects that are holding a story, that you keep this thing because it's dear to you. I believe that what we keep keeps us. So if you keep a lot of junk is keeping you. But I also believe, and like this house is full of ancestral presences. There are things here from my grandmother, from my mother's sisters, like the dressers in my bedroom were my oldest aunt's bedroom set. I think my brother has the bed. I have the 2 dressers. They don't match my bed, but I can't, and they need to be replaced.
But they match something else.
But there's so much energy in your
I can't get rid of it. My spirit won't let go.
That's
right.
I
do believe that what we keep keeps us, and in the keeping, there are all of these stories. So
yes.
I ask people, what's inside of your human museum? What are the rooms? What's your room of joy? If you create a human museum on a grid, like if you think about a public museum, what are the exhibit halls that are open? And sometimes you go to a museum and some exhibit halls are closed.
Yes, they're roped off.
Museum, what is open to the public and what is like the closed doors? For whatever reason, they're locked. Right. What are the rooms that need locking? What are some rooms that need unlocking? What's inside? And I always give this metaphor. I tease people and I said, so in my house, we got this kitchen drawer, not a drawer, but the drawer. Where are the scissors? In the drawer.
In the drawer.
You see such and such in the drawer.
Look in the drawer.
Look in the drawer. And and everybody laughs because they said, "Yep, we all got it."
Everybody got it.
When you look at that drawer, it's keeping all these things. And a stranger in your house could really do a composite of who you are by the drawer. As well as, so for years, I have been collecting, when people drop their grocery list or their to-do list in stores, I like picking them up. You learn a lot about somebody. So Pampers, formula, buy more onesies, milk. You see what I'm saying? Yogurt.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Or it might be pick
And
up
then
dry.
rum. After all those baby things, rum.
Right. So, these lists that we create, that we carry, it's just like, I teach a whole thing on the selfie, the commercialization of the selfie, the politicalization of the selfie, the sexualization of the selfie, the commodification of the selfie. It just goes on, and the industrialization of the selfie. Thinking about, that's why now we feed so much of who we are in our little gadgets by going to websites and clicking on accepting cookies and all of this stuff. People know what we like. So before, when I used to go to the grocery store, because I would buy, say, I bought a lot of yogurt, I get random yogurt coupons. Now I get my yogurt coupon because I have given them a profile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They know the profile.
Right.
I can do one search for blue cobalt blue suede boots, and I will get 1,000 things click up for me, ads for cobalt. Well, it's the same thing in our human museum. What's inside of your human museum? And part of the workshop is inviting people to write a letter to the curator of their human museum.
Oh, wow.
And the curator should be yourself. It may not always be yourself. And if it's not yourself, that should be something. And then I have done this with all kinds of people. I've done this exercise with the Duke Hospital, what do you call it? The clergy, Duke Hospital clergy. I did this with them, and I'll get, every blue moon, I'll get an email to say, I'm still doing this 10 years later. I'm still using this with terminal patients, with families.
Oh, that is rich.
I explore. When I do it with my college
Retreat.
students, I will ask my freshmen to do it in their freshman year. I said, okay, in your senior year, I want you to do this again. Because your human museum should have changed. Some rooms may not look the same. You may have moved some things around. Some rooms may not exist anymore. You might have lopped off a whole wing of your museum. You might have some new rooms. You may have locked a door that was open. You may have opened a door that was locked.
Yes.
And like I give an example, I said, well, like the basement of my human museum, I have skulls and bones that say, do not enter at your own risk. I said, because down there is like stuff I don't want to revisit. Deaths, sorrow, disappointments, betrayal, divorces, just all the things that I'm like, I'm gonna put them down there and they're gonna stay down there. But
you don't think that people should revisit them, or you leave it up to them because it's their museum?
That's their museum. That's your business.
Yeah.
And on a personal level, do you put some of these things onto paper in your
The whole
poetry?
museum is onto paper. No, when you do your you create your human museum on paper.
Okay.
So there are people that are very much into being artists. So no, when we do this at a retreat, you take your own space, you go off, you create your human museum.
Okay.
And people's museums look different.
Of course.
People's museums look I've been doing this for about 30 some years now.
In the 30 seconds that we have left, what's next for you, Jaki? What more do you have to do? When are you going to rest?
will probably be leaving the post as the North Carolina Poet Laureate because we will have a new governor in January.
Right.
I will have served 7 years by then.
Wow.
And I'm really excited. I mean, it's sad that it's coming to an end, but I'm excited for me to step back into my work. When I became the Poet Laureate, I gave myself permission to be the Poet Laureate and not try and be the poet at the same time.
Yes.
When I'm teaching, my students get all of me, but I'm ready to, I have some publications I have a bunch of manuscripts to work on. I have a very serious manuscript that I can't talk about right now to work on that I'm excited about. Got some public art stuff that my poems are going to like be out there in the world on some buildings I'm excited about that.
Wow.
I have a collaboration with a visual artist. We have a September 3 opening at the Mint Museum, a huge exhibit that's built on one of my poems. It's called The Communion of White Dresses, the Mint in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
I see.
It's like our Met, yeah.
Is that Michelle Luke's work, the white dresses that I saw online? I think I saw a YouTube video of it with an artist who curated a series of people donated white wedding dresses, I believe it was.
Oh, really? Because we have Monique Luck and I.
Monique Luck, that's what I meant. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
She's
Yes.
my collaborator.
So
yeah,
I saw a preview of that.
Okay, so the Communion of White
Beautiful.
Dresses. Yeah, the Communion of White Dresses. We have all kinds of white dresses. So the Communion of White Dresses is based on a poem that I have. It's on the you have my CD, right?
Yes,
I saw
I do.
it somewhere.
So it's on the CD, it's on the album, and it's on the video. So yeah, so we've been having fun with it. So that's opening. There is some invitations already to take it on the road. So I have a lot of, it seems like the future is casting itself out for me. And I'm excited about it. And again, to come back to, and we're trying to figure out where we might land, where we want to be, where we want to be.
Absolutely.
That is wonderful. I know where I'd like you to be, but you're busy, so I'll follow you.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Listen, Jackie creates community wherever she goes. So wherever we are, we just need to bring a pillow, I'm sure, and we'll have a place to, as we say in Jamaica, a place to catch
Great.
wherever she creates in the world.
Think about as part of your podcast series, we could actually do a retreat out of it. I mean, think about a fun
Black
place.
Boomer Besties with Jaki Shelton Green.
Oh my gosh!
Kidding me?
Yeah, we could do a retreat. I'm open.
That sounds amazing. I'm not going to let you forget that you put that out in the universe, Jackie.
That's right. We'll just replay it. Set it in public. We weren't imagining it.
No, I'm very serious.
Yeah. I could see a collaboration like this. Okay, I'll say less. Well, Jackie, it's wonderful meeting you and speaking to you.